Good morning. Welcome to Real Talks, Dominate Real Estate. It's January 8th, 2021, and I'm Charlie Bengel.
And I'm Meaza. Grab a cup of coffee and let's make your real estate career better.
Hey, Eyerusalem, what's in the news today?
So after a strong surge in home sales over the past 6 months, suddenly consumers are concerned about the health of the housing market. Buyers and sellers felt significantly less confident about making a deal in December, according to a monthly survey by Fannie Mae. The percentage of survey respondents who said it was a good time to buy a home fell to 52% from 57%, while the percentage who said it was a bad time to buy increased to 39% from 35%. On the sales side, just 50% said it was a good time to sell, down from 59% the previous month. Respondents who said it was a bad time to sell rose to 42% from 33%. Consumers are feeling less confident about the housing market because they are also feeling less sure about the U.S. economy. More respondents said that they were concerned about keeping their jobs, and fewer said that their household income had increased substantially. Consumers are also likely reacting to the sharp rise in home prices brought on by high demand and record low supply of houses for sale. Prices are seeing the biggest gains in 6 years, up 8.2% in November annually, according to CoreLogic. Nationally, the number of homes for sale was down 39.6% in December, year over year, according to Realtor.com. That amounts to 449,000 fewer homes for sale than December 2019. In other news, between 2018 and 2028, the number of households is projected to increase by up to 12 million. Generation X and millennials are expected to drive most of that household formation. As they replace dropped households over that time, the two generations could add nearly 25 million new households by 2028, according to the CoreLogic Insights blog. The largest cohort of millennial buyers have yet to surface on the market. Researchers note that segment from ages 28 to 30 numbers nearly 15 million and is approaching the average age to buy a first home, 33 years old. Even as younger generations wait to enter the housing market in high numbers, the market already faces a home inventory shortage. The number of homes for sale has reached the lowest level on record. That has prompted home prices to increase faster than incomes. Over the past 2 decades, home prices have increased by 1.6 times the rate of real household incomes, CoreLogic says. Record low mortgage rates over the past few months have helped to offset high prices. Still, first-time home buyers are facing increasingly affordability woes as they try to come up with a down payment. While the monthly mortgage payment and insurance have dropped by 3% compared to a year ago, the down payment needed is up 8%. In other news, the latest housing data shows consumers returning to urban areas after abandoning cities for the suburbs in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. In places such as New York, San Francisco, Chicago, and Boston, some rental buildings went from full occupancy to 50% vacant as remote work and school enabled residents to move to less congested areas. But now there are signs of a reversal of that trend. The Greater Boston Association of Realtors reports that sales of single-family homes and condos in the city were at their highest levels on record in October. In Chicago, home sales surged 39%. The same month compared to a year ago, according to the Illinois Association of Realtors. In New York, single-family home sales jumped 34% from September to October. The appeal of big cities likely will return as the coronavirus vaccine rollout escalates, real estate experts predict. Ryan Serhant, a real estate professional who stars in the Bravo Network's $1 Million Listing New York, says that city dwellers aren't the type who want to live in rural areas, have only 1 or 2 local restaurants to choose from, and lose the electric energy that makes our cities such special places to be. Collectively, we are all looking ahead and looking forward to a return to pre-pandemic life. Charlie, what's going on with rates?
Thanks, Eyerusalem. The 30-year fixed rate is at 2.875%. Jumbo is 2.625, FHA and VA 2.5%. So rates remain amazingly low. These are purchase rates brought to us by PNC Mortgage for the Washington metropolitan market. Back over to you to talk about the market.
In the last week in Hampton Roads, we saw 441 new listings hit the market, 458 properties go pending, and 549 properties sold. In the last week in the Washington metro area, within 30 miles of the White House, we saw 969 new listings hit the market, 946 go pending, and 567 homes sold. Back over to Charlie with our special guest.
Thanks again, Eyerusalem. I'd like to welcome back to the show Coach Amy Lassen. Always good to see you.
Good to see everyone here.
Hey, good morning. Happy New Year. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope the holidays were good. This month's theme at Remax Allegiance is being the CEO. And we can talk about that and define that in different ways. And future shows, we're going to dig in further to that. But I've been talking to a lot of, the train in 2021 has gotten started again, and takes a little while to kind of get going, right? But, the coaching calls have started, be it one-on-one and group. And one of my questions has been, so where are we on our 2021 marketing plan?
Yep.
And I think you and I have been discussing this with our clients since we started doing the business plan, right? Months ago. And there's been some challenge around, well, how do I create it? Where do I put it? This and that, right? So we've come up with a plan that we'll show in a minute. But I've got a fair number of people that just aren't quite done, right? Or it's done, but it's not in an organized fashion. It's done in a way that their accountability partner can't see it and kind of know what's happening. And, we've got some people that they're still kind of, as our friend Davidson Lunger likes to say, they're still kind of getting ready to get ready. And the problem with that is it's January 8th.
Yeah.
The first week's already gone.
Yeah.
We talk about how we give grace when it comes to prospecting calls and stuff like that. So, I want to give a little bit of grace, but one of the things that you and I are constantly talking about is we need to be sending something in the mail to our past clients in Sphere, like our A pluses and our A's and our B's. And with the mail delays, somebody texted me last night and said, I just got a Christmas card and the postmark date was December 15th. So with our lack of organization, with some of our, lack of planning, and with the Postal Service delays, which is an ongoing thing.
Sure.
If you put something in the mail next week, your people may not get it till February. And if you were too busy during the holidays to be in touch and you've not been in touch with them, right? I mean, our days of grace and our weeks of grace are disappearing. Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of coming up with a plan around being in touch with our best people. I was talking to somebody before the show, and she was telling me about how she's been catching up with her online leads.
Okay.
And great, right? She has different lead sources. So I pulled up her business plan, and 2/3 of her plan states that her business is going to come from, who do you think?
Her Sphere.
Her Sphere. Do you think she's talked to him this week? No, she's been working the online leads. Yeah. And I said, you got this many from online, but you got this big group from Sphere. What, let's not forget that.
Yeah.
And not to mention, as a reminder for everybody that's watching or listening, the people that already know us, like us, and trust us are less likely to what? Give us hell about pricing.
Sure.
Want to pick our pocket with the commission.
Sure.
Right. So I'm not here to denigrate other lead sources like Zillow and everything else. But I guess I am if we're neglecting our past clients in Sphere and spending too much time on those other lead sources.
Right.
So what is the plan to be in touch with those people that we want to be in touch with? And just as a refresher, I always talk about the A+ people are the ones that go out of their way to refer us. If they're like at a cocktail party and when we can do those again, and they hear like from across the room that somebody's thinking about buying, they'll like go out of their way to say, wait, did you say you're buying a house? You need to call Amy Lassen. She's amazing, right? They like go out of their way. The A's, if asked, like if I'm asking my neighbor, hey, do you have a great agent? Oh yeah, you got to call Amy, right? The B's are people that if we educated them about what this looks like, they would do it. C's are too new, right? They're leads. And I always joke that D's are people that we know and we wish that perhaps we didn't. And that always gets a chuckle, right? So those that's the refresher of our A pluses, our A's, our B's, C's and B's. Let me just share I'll
So
add
when
to
you're
this.
talking about marketing, you're talking about marketing to your sphere, or you're talking about this is all marketing?
So coming out of the Tom Ferry Summit last year, we came, there was some people that came up with like the ultimate marketing chart, and I
Yep.
kind of tweaked it a little bit.
Yep.
It was great, but it has like every marketing pillar on there.
Right.
This is really heavy on past clients, sphere. You can put farming in this, because I always tell people whatever you're sending to your farm should be going to the past clients and sphere too often.
Mm-hmm.
I'm amazed at the number of agents that do these amazing case study just sold cards,
Yeah.
and they just send it to the neighborhood that it's sold in, and they don't tell their past clients and sphere about the success.
It's crazy.
And I remind people that even if I'm 10 miles away from that neighborhood, if I'm getting 2 cards from Amy Lassen a month with these just solds, and now she's broken records and she's done all this with the sellers, that just reinforces why I want to refer her.
Yeah.
Why are we excluding that? At what point were we taught that just solds only go to those, particular neighbors? I think it's a little crazy. So anyway, yes, I'm talking about
Something?
yes.
So you were referencing the business plan, saying you looked at her business plan and there was a predicted outcome of I'll get this for my sphere. So hopefully everyone listening, you have a business plan, but I'll bet you don't. And so maybe I want to pitch that we're going to teach business planning so you can come to ours.
Right.
But here's the thing I really want you to get. We all need to be working from a plan. And if you think of new things that you'd like to do that are different from your plan, that's great. Amend your plan. When you either don't have a plan or write a plan and ignore it, you really are flying by the seat of your pants every day, and you don't have a fighting chance at efficiency or quality outcomes, right? So the reason I'm quizzing Charlie about, wait, which source of business are we talking about, is because in your business plan, if you had geographic farming as a major source outlined, if you had expireds and sphere of influence, then every single one of those 3 needs a detailed marketing plan, and then you can move it over to the master plan. But you've got to be clear with yourself on, I'm going to do this to convert this source, and I'm going to do this to convert this, and this to convert this. And there may be a ton of overlap, but get really, really clear on what you're doing, and don't wake up and wing it every month. So,
I love the clarification. We, at one point yesterday, we had these 3 non-negotiables on here, and then we had room for like 3 more. And I asked Chris, I said, let's make it a little longer, right? It's going to be a couple more pages, but let's give people as much room as they could possibly need. And this is the plan, and it's an accountability piece, right? And it allows you to check off here, once something's done. And we're advocates of certainly the business planning, which, by the way, next Tuesday from 3 to 5 Eastern, if you'd like to register, go to dominaterealestate.net and click on events. We would love to see you there. We've had 100 people already attend business planning with us. We would love to see more there. This is the last opportunity. We added this for those that couldn't make it to the first 2. So this is it. This is really it. So part of that, we ask, so who's your accountability partner coming out of the business plan, right? Who's going to help you, whether it's you're in group coaching with me, you're a one-on-one coaching with some coaching organization, it's your broker, it's a partner in the office. And part of that accountability is this marketing plan where you're able to see, okay, January, this stuff should already be in process. Right? What's next? February. Oh, I see you want to do something for Valentine's Day. Like, have you prepared? Or have you bought the Valentines? Have you started filling them out? Whatever you're going to do. So I think that this plan allows your accountability partner to also keep you on track. And I agree with what you said about if you're doing other lead sources and there's marketing, there's marketing for those lead sources, to move them over to this tracker is fine. Right? I mean, the more the merrier here, but flying by the seat of your pants and being the agent that says, again, for the 4th year in a row, I really wanted to send out those lottery tickets with that. I hope you have a lucky day for St. Patrick's Day. And here we are in April and I missed it again, right? We don't want you to be that person again, because you're leaving money on the table, because we're not in touch with the past clients and sphere at the level that we want.
Well, can we talk about, so I think you and I sometimes feel like we're repeating ourselves because we are, but not everyone hears everything we say. So
Right.
maybe we can clarify. Marketing is to educate your target customer about your service, right? So the example you're giving is mostly sphere of influence, but
Yep.
we can't assume that our own sphere understands what it is we do. Now, the example of St. Patty's Day cards and scratch tickets, that's whimsical, and that's just a
Yep.
sweet reminder that you're alive.
Yep.
But you also need to have a way of educating them about your actual service model. That's what creates those A's and A pluses, not just the shrugging B's that are like, I don't know, I mean, my realtor was all right. So I think it's absolutely vital that we educate for whatever sources of business you're intending to execute in 2021. You've got to have a plan of action for educating them about your service. And that's what we're trying to do here.
So give us some examples of that. And how are we demonstrating that we're the knowledge broker? Right. I've had some people that their touch points for the past client in Sphere was just the whimsical.
Sure.
And I said, what else can we send them that makes them think, wow, that, Amy really knows her stuff.
Yep.
Right. And when so-and-so wants to buy or sell, I almost have a duty to refer them to Amy because, my gosh, right. And she clearly knows what she's doing. So I used the whimsical example, which is great. We should be doing some of the fun stuff.
Yeah.
But that should not be the extent of our marketing, which is where you were going with this.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, but that's true for every source. You've got to be able to educate them about why your service is going to be appropriate for them or beneficial to them. So you already gave a great example of a case study, right? To show this is how I get homes sold.
Yep.
I think one of the things you and I both really encourage agents to do a market update every month. And I believe in that. And I don't want to coach perfectionism because that will cause paralysis.
Right.
The challenge with just sending out a few stats every month and the stats that may be interesting to us, the thing you have to remember is most people aren't going to move for another 7 years, and it's not anything wrong. It's just that's the move rate, right?
Yep.
So if more than 90% of all the people that you know aren't going to move this year, think about what it means to them to get the same stats in an email newsletter over and over and over. Well, they're not going to read them because there's no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's nothing wrong. There's just no need for them to know that.
Right. It's not relevant at this point in their life.
It's just not.
Right.
So you've got to figure out something to share that's a little bit more interesting. And success, a case study is interesting. Even if they're not moving, you could be like, wow, that's fascinating. Look at that, right?
Yep.
Or marketing your listings at the highest possible level on social, in and printed newsletters, all that sort of thing shows your expertise, and it's interesting. People like to look at houses.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to figure out how to demonstrate that. And as we have dramatic changes in markets, even if people aren't planning to move, it's still interesting. So educating people about the dramatic changes in the market can be interesting, and then never assume that they're not moving. The other thing is, the mother and son that I coach, who have now done a ton of annual home value reports for the best clients in Sphere, they're getting so many come list me calls because people are like, I had no idea my house was worth this much.
Right.
They're being blown away. Like, okay, I do want to sell at these prices. So I think an annual home value report is one of the best ways to be their partner in the homeownership journey during the many years that they aren't moving and don't need to, because you're still keeping them in the know.
I agree. We're advocates of the annual home value report. We're advocates of the, I call it the annual client letter, where we are reasserting what we do, where we work, what our levels of expertise are. I want to be your number one resource for everything real estate related.
Yep.
Right. If there was a windstorm and you lost a shingle, give me a call because I got a great roofer. Right. And then that, if they're in touch with us, that creates more conversations with us. Right. I mean, I would love if all of the people that we coached or managed or helped, if their clients were calling them for any reason.
Yes.
Right. It opens up the door to, more conversations. So, we've gone over a number of different marketing pieces since we started this show. I don't remember when. So I don't think there's any shortage of that. You can certainly go to dominaterealestate.net, click on get more buyers or get more sellers, and find, tons of different examples. And some of those examples are projects that are as done for you as we can do them. Right. I mean, we can't you and I cannot physically do the home value reports for people, but I mean, I tell you, we got it, the instructions are there from A to Z. So I think that's a great idea. Marketing for 2021, a year in review for your community is popular. If you're doing a geo farm, doing a review of everything that's sold. There's some agents that send out these almost look like magazines with like 5 pages, and it literally lists every home that's sold in the neighborhood. And for some reason, those tend to stick around. I had a neighbor show me one. He's like, yeah, I got this from an agent. I'm like, it was last year, and he kept it. It's like you want to throw away the postcard, but this magazine type thing is something like subconsciously you just throw it on the coffee table and it sits there like it's a art. Yeah. So something like that. The social proof piece that shows the map of sales that we did, showing gratitude for the community. There's different ways to do that, whether it's a map of sales, it's the photos of the fronts of homes. I got an example that I should have brought in here. There's a guy that sells a lot of real estate in Palm Beach, and I have a P.O. box in Palm Beach. So I get all this like really cool collateral from the Palm Beach agents. And these guys, the average sales price over there for a single family home was like $5 million. And he sent out one, and this was all planned. This was planned, right? He did EDDM, so it hit me, and through my P.O. box. I don't live in Palm Beach, if anybody's thinking that. And he had probably 20 or 25 houses shown, the fronts of them with the sales prices. He's got 100 million in sales on that postcard, and it was ready to go. It went out January 2nd. So that's what he does. If you didn't have a fantastic year last year, there's nothing to say you can't go back further, right? And show career sales. You can show sales from 5 years. And that's just not something that you can mail out. That can go on Facebook. It can go on Instagram. It should certainly go on your listing and buyer presentations. I coach a guy in Okoboji, Iowa. It took me a year of coaching him before I could even pronounce his town. And I had no idea that there's $1 million lake homes in Okoboji, Iowa. I had no idea. And that's his thing. And there was an agent that was running around town and saying that she was like selling more than everybody. And so I said, so Kirk, I said, what if you did a map of all of the sales that you've done? And he did 125 sales, 200 million. Yeah. He sends that out to everybody just to kind of get her to shut up. Right. And it's a very impressive map because some of the dots around this lake, they've like doubled up the dots because he sold the house twice. I mean, it's like if I'm looking to buy or sell around Westlake and Okoboji, Iowa, it's a no-brainer, right? Yeah. It's just that marketing piece is overwhelming. The marketing piece that I got from Christian Angle in Palm Beach is overwhelming. It's like, this is like, and there's ways to do that. And if you're a new agent, use the map of sales from your office or your brokerage. Sure. So there's always ways to kind of, I don't want to say manipulate stats, but, make things look, use what's best. Use what's best. If your list price to sales price ratio isn't good, maybe your office is better, your company's is better. Well, in all fairness, I think most agents struggle with just executing a marketing piece. I don't think you're going to struggle for lack of statistics to talk about. If you're a newbie, there's something else you can talk about besides bragging on your own damn self. So there's plenty of interesting things to share. If I created a piece that said 2020 was a remarkable year, a record year, and I said what was interesting about the stats, that's a fascinating piece, and it doesn't have to be about me. So I think the challenge is, wait, how do I make a postcard again? Right, who do I get to do my? So yeah, don't let the numbers themselves be the thing that holds you back. That's not real. There's plenty. If anybody out there needs help, marketing@rmxtalk.com. Reach out to Chris, right? He has templates for a lot of this stuff. So you're not reinventing the wheel. And he's got the social proof pieces, in the hopper. And if you're watching and you're not with Remax, it doesn't matter, right? So he'll do custom pieces for you as well. So there's definitely agents that get stuck with that. They get stuck with, so there is a solution. And, or, if you're not comfortable with that, then go on Upwork, go on Fiverr, whatever. There's certainly graphic designers out there, and having a good relationship with one, I think, is invaluable.
Yep.
Have them, because they can create this stuff. They should be able to take the idea that you have and put it on paper and see your vision. And especially once you have a longer term relationship with them, they can almost, they know exactly what you're looking for. And that's invaluable. I know there's people that go on Canva and make stuff and this and that. And if you know Canva really well and you're a hobbyist with that, and that's something you can knock out quickly, more power to you. But I'm not an advocate of learning how to do this on your own and just, pay somebody and get it done.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts on my pivoting to marketing.
Well, Charlie, you opened with so many people are behind and they haven't started, right? They haven't sent their stuff out, and then the days are wasting, and then the years go by, right? It's April and I meant to do something in March this year. So I think, Charlie, the challenge to execution is a couple of fold. I think sometimes we're afraid we're going to make a mistake, and so we hesitate, and then the time passes. But I think also most of us suffer from overwhelm. I think most of us have adult onset ADD. We're overwhelmed with too many options. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic when I say that. There's lots of studies done that say our phones alone have given us this bing, 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 bing. Oh, what should I look at now? Too many tabs open on my computer. So all this is real. The struggle is real. So what you have to do is acknowledge that, just like if you needed to quit smoking or had a weight problem, like, okay, I just got to acknowledge this is a real thing. Now, what are the steps to rectify this? What can I do? And in order to get your marketing done, you've just got to write down a plan like that one. Make it as simple as possible. Don't overdo it. Because executing on something simple is way better than procrastinating something complicated. And it doesn't have to be complicated. If you haven't been communicating with your sphere for many years, and then you just start, if you could imagine that you would suddenly pummel them with content, it's just not even necessary. So come up with something doable. Make a time estimate of how long it will take you to track down a designer on Upwork. How much time are you willing to spend reading through, finding people with 5-star reviews, tracking somebody down who will charge $60 an hour, and email them the thing you had in mind? Or you saw an example on Facebook, and so you took a picture of it with your phone and you sent it to them and said, could you make me look like this? It could be that simple, right? So say, I'm willing to spend, 5 hours. I'll spend 5 hours trying to figure out what Amy and Charlie are talking about, and then get that thing out. Cool. Where does that fit in your schedule? Great. Give yourself a deadline and then do it, and then pick the next thing. Because when we make a huge plan like that and it's like, okay, execute, nobody does that. Nobody executes things simultaneously. Everything has to be one step at a time, and you can do it. If this is really daunting to you, know that it can be done. Really, one step at a time.
And find an accountability partner to help you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talking it through with somebody else will help.
Awesome. Good to see you. We'll see everybody, hopefully, that we haven't seen at Business Planning this coming Tuesday from 3 to 5 Eastern. DominateRealEstate.net. Sign up there. Have a good weekend. Back over to you, Eyerusalem.
Thank you so much for watching. And as always, we're here to make your real estate career better.
Take care, everybody.